Hunter Biden, who's currently standing trial for allegedly purchasing a gun while addicted to drugs, which is in fact a crime, has found himself an unlikely defender in Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham told the Huffington Post, quote, "I think any average American who's done their taxes like Hunter Biden would have probably faced prosecution." Let me just clarify what he means there. Hunter Biden hadn't paid his taxes, but he made good on that and ended up paying his taxes late. So that was what Lindsey Graham was referencing there, but let me continue with his statement. However, I don't think the average American would have been charged with the gun thing. I don't see any good coming from that. And that could be because a lot of Americans do drugs and a lot of Americans have guns. And it's the point that you had made before, Cenk. It's the point that we've made on this show. In fact, why don't we go to our first video? The third count alleges that he possessed a firearm while using a narcotic. And I mean, that must be a very, very serious offense in a country where we're just swimming with guns. All of these other gun owners, definitely not using any illegal narcotics, definitely not.
By the way, in case you're wondering, marijuana is illegal at the federal level.
Yep.
And hence, literally millions of people have done this crime. Right-wing voters. I don't know that you care about principles at all anymore. I don't know, it's up to you guys. But guys, like making a mistake on a gun form. He had the gun for 11 days and then threw it away. Did not commit any crimes with that gun. And none of you have been smoked pot at all while having a gun. None of you have ever made a mistake on one of those forms. Come on, you know that if he did this to you, you would go ballistic. You'd say it was the tyranny of government taking your rights away, trying to put you in prison for a tiny mistake on a gun form with no other underlying crime with that gun. Get out of here, you don't believe that.
So once again, let's take a look at this graphic. Hashtag Anna was right, and also hashtag Cenk was right.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we're tongue in cheek about being obnoxious about that. But look, Lindsey Graham, I think, woke up and realized that half of his constituents had done that crime.
Yeah.
And then he's like, that's unfortunate.
Look, and I want to also just give a caveat, right? Because I think marijuana is very different from crack, which is what Hunter Biden was using and addicted to, allegedly.
But it would be just as illegal.
It would be just as illegal if what you're using is marijuana and not crack.
Yep.
So that's why we made the statements that we made previously. It's not to provide cover for Hunter Biden. I actually think it is serious if you're addicted to drugs like crack to have lethal weapons in your possession. But anyway,
yeah,
go ahead.
And I actually don't agree with Lindsey Graham on the first part either. You paid your taxes late, but you paid them. It's the most minor crime I've ever seen. His donors have evaded taxes for decades. I think those are massive crimes, but we never prosecute those. So somebody files their taxes late, whoop-de-frickin-do. None of you have filed your taxes late? Pausing here to deliver some honest truth as we do in our news coverage as well. TYT is facing challenges, guys, as the entire industry is. You know who could make the difference? You. If you hit the join button below, it's gonna make all the difference and keep us in business. We appreciate you, thank you. Look, the ironic thing here is that they say the case against Trump is political. I mean, we've had that debate many times on this show. But the case against Hunter Biden is indisputably political. Like if you had him on an actual scam on the Ukrainian gas or the art and it's actually bribes being funneled to him, great, prosecute him. I hate corruption. I hate how the family members get away with everything, both Republicans and Democrats. But on late taxes and filling out a gun form wrong, those aren't real charges, and no one else would be prosecuted under that. They're doing it just to see, oh, we're so fair. Okay, Republicans, you guys have cried so much about this guy, so we'll try to prosecute him.
Now let's go to the defense attorney who's making an argument that no, actually Hunter Biden was very briefly clean at the time that he purchased the gun. So defense lawyer Abe Lowell focused his opening statement on the language of the form, which asks whether the prospective buyer is an unlawful user of drugs. Quote, it does not say, have you ever been? It does not say, have you ever used, Lowell said. He did not buy that gun knowing that he fit into a category of people who could not do so. So basically, he was ignorant of the reality of these laws. And then
no, it's even worse than that.
Yeah, no, I know. Let me give you the statement because it's absurd. I think it's absurd. So the argument is that the lawyer pointed to Biden's 2-week stint in rehab that August, suggesting that Biden had just gotten clean and bought the gun during that clean period. Guys, come on. He wrote about his crack addiction during this time in his book, which is what the prosecutors are using against him.
Under Abe Lowell's defense argument, you could say, well, he wasn't using crack at the very moment he signed the form, so it wasn't it was earlier and after, but technically, no, that's
crazy.
So if I'm on the jury, I'm not buying that at all. Yeah, he was on drugs when he bought the gun. I'd say guilty and he should get half a day of community service.
Okay, so hold on to your butts for this because here's the response from the prosecutors. Prosecutor Derek Hines told jurors that Hunter Biden described his behavior at the time as smoking every 15 minutes, 7 days a week. This is all in his book, okay? Yeah. He boasted in his book of having a superpower for finding crack anywhere, the prosecutor said.
That's got to be the worst superpower.
Not good.
You're not gonna make the League of Justice with that superpower. Hey guys, don't worry, I can find crack anywhere at any time. Oh, Batman, what can we do with him? Not gonna work out. Anyways, look, did he actually fill out the form wrong? Of course he did. Of course he did. Of course he was lying. But is this a thing you're gonna prosecute for? Again, you would have to prosecute about half the country if you prosecute Hunter Biden for this.
Now, the final thing I'll bring up from the court proceedings today is the most explosive moment that actually involved Melissa Cohen Biden. So Melissa Cohen Biden called a former Trump aide by the name of Garrett Ziegler a Nazi piece of word we can't say on the show. So Ziegler was part of the effort to make the files on Hunter Biden's notorious laptop public. Asked about the encounter, Cohen Biden said Ziegler has called her the most horrific Jewish slurs, adding that he should be asked why he's never called Jared Kushner any of those Jewish slurs, referring to Trump's son-in-law, of course. So Ziegler told NBC News, "It's sad. I've been sitting here the whole time and haven't approached anyone. For the record, I'm not a Nazi. I'm a believer in the US Constitution. I haven't said one thing to them." I don't know, this is a he said, she said type situation, so I don't know what the reality is, and I haven't seen evidence of him saying horrific anti-Semitic things to her, but that was the most explosive moment in the trial today.
If he did, that's terrible. But really now we're like down a weirdo rabbit hole. Hunter Biden's not even relevant, let alone his wife, let alone the person who insulted his wife.
Yeah, it's just.
Who cares? Look, guys, bottom line is, if they had evidence connecting Hunter Biden's shenanigans with the Ukrainian gas company, etc., to Joe Biden, that would have been a super relevant political story of corruption. But they have no such evidence. They've never presented it. They don't have it. Every time they said they had it, they were humiliated when their witnesses would say the exact opposite. So they got mad and they got the Justice Department to prosecute Hunter Biden for crap, perhaps trash things. Right. So it's like the equivalent of jaywalking. Yeah, his defense attorney is being ridiculous because he's like, he wasn't walking, he was hopping and skipping. Okay, but at the end of the day, it's jaywalking and it has nothing to do with Joe Biden.
Yeah, and by the way, Melissa, the woman who just made the accusation against Ziegler, is Hunter Biden's current wife. And the gun charge is important in that Beau Biden's wife, who was a widow, ended up forging a relationship with Hunter Biden. She found out that he was in possession of that gun and then threw it away in the trash in a public place, which is, don't do that. That's a bad thing, don't do that at all, okay? So.
Yeah, okay, these are minor infractions that are totally irrelevant to the political process.
Don't dispose of the gun in a public trash can.
She made a mistake. Okay, yeah. Then we're gonna prosecute her and her dog, and because the Republicans don't want any political prosecutions unless it's of the other side.
Only if the dog was a bad boy.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, we really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.